Is 3D printer a robot? That is the question for this video. TLDR, it is a robot. Oh, you're still here. I think you're waiting for the but. Yes, there is a but. Not this but. But before we understand why it is a robot, we'll understand what is a robot. So there are different definitions of a robot. There are the basic definitions where a robot basically is a machine that can work automatically. There are other definitions which is like a robot is a machine that can be programmed to do particular specific task automatically or with some controls with a human. And there are some definitions where robot is said to be a machine that can work automatically with less to no human interaction at all. And if you want to go deeper, there is International Standard Organization defining robot as a programmed actuated mechanisms with a degree of autonomy to perform locomotion, manipulation or positioning. So these are all different definitions of robot, which is all correct in its own sense. And now why a 3D printer is a robot becomes a very brilliant question to ask here. Let's break this down. So breaking this down, we'll understand, okay, is 3D printer programmable? It definitely is. It's programmed so much ways, adding so many sensors, and there's so many hybridization that's going on with the 3D printers that now 3D printers can be converted into CNC machine, where instead of adding materials, which what a 3D printer is supposed to do, it's now subtracting the material, it's milling and basically creating the same 3D structure. You can also add laser to it, it can start doing laser etching, and if you want, you can also add a pen to it and it can start writing on a paper. So a 3D printer now has become a 2D printer. What? So if you think about it, 3D printer is a very versatile machine. It's actually a boon to the field of robotics. I believe that because I've been using 3D printers for years together for prototyping work, for fast iterative process of developing customized parts for robots, and 3D printer has changed it overall. Before 3D printers, there was a very tedious, long, time consuming and a costly affair just to create any customized part, and if something went wrong, you would start crying because you lost everything. You have to again repeat the same process, which is time consuming, costly affair and labor intensive just to create a customized parts. 3D printer has changed it all. You can create iterative process, like one part you create for a robot, then you can create another part the next day, another part the next day, and so on. So you can keep changing, improving, and this is the main reason why there is so rapid advancement of technologies and prototyping, where the technologies being built have a very quick iterative process with brilliant output because of 3D printers. Now 3D printers are not just used in the case where you want to prototype. 3D printers are also used for different applications. Like I have seen 3D printers being used for prosthetics, which is super cool, and there are also 3D printers that are used for dental implants. So they create the mold, the design, they scan the teeth, and the dentist basically creates a mold out of the teeth using 3D printers. There's also 3D printers that are used for emergency structures and specifically in space stations. Our International Space Station ISS also has a 3D printer where if you want a particular tool, the ground station basically sends the file to them and they just have to print it and start using it. It's that customizable. There's also a custom fitting personal product that you can develop using 3D printers, where if you want a particular toy or you want a particular character with your name on it or some design to make it look cool or gifting to your loved ones, you can use 3D printers for that applications as well. I've seen custom phone cases that look super cool using 3D printers. And lastly, I have seen 3D printers being used for educational materials. So you can build educational tools or you can actually teach 3D printing as an educational tool to use. My favorite application for 3D printer, which I have yet to basically see live in action, is food-based 3D printing. So 3D printer that can basically create any food-like structure. It could make like burgers or pizzas or maybe some chocolates. Who knows? I want to see a future where I can download the food and I can 3D print the food and eat it. That's what I'm waiting for. So hopefully that day would be soon. Another application that I got to recently hear about is 3D printers are being used by jewelers and jewelry designers. So they basically design the jewelry, they 3D print it, they create a die out of it, and they cast their jewelry because of the 3D printers, and super cool to see in action. According to them, it reduces the waste by a major margin. So these are some of the major examples of 3D printers. And as you see, it has a wide range and it's still growing market. Again, 3D printer is just a machine. It's a tool that you use to develop designs, to create models, and improve the technology you're building upon. But because it works on its own, it has axes that it can work on, it's creating a three-dimensional structure, I'm considering this as a robot. But the meaning of the word robot is basically so varied and wide that it's a complete train wreck. So if you agree with 3D printer being a robot, you can put it down in the comments below. And if you don't agree that 3D printer is not a robot, then I'm fine. I'm not going to argue with that. So that's it for this video. See you next time, human.